Okay, we're on lesson 106 today, and it's the first part of it is on roots of negative numbers. Now, if I gave you something like this, oops, the square root of negative 64, we can't do that because there's no number multiplied by itself that's going to give us a negative. So that's not going to work. But when we have an odd number root like this, that's asking us what number multiplied times itself 3 times, because of this, would be equal to negative 64. Well, that would be negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. That equals 64, negative 64. So the answer to this is simply negative 4. Okay, the next one is the 5th root of negative 32. So that's asking us what number multiplied by itself 5 times is negative 32. Well, because of the negative, we know the answer has to be negative, because that'll be negative, 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 negative. 5 of them will give it a negative answer. And in order to multiply a number by itself 5 times and get 32, it's got to be pretty small. So we'll start by trying 2. So that's going to be 4. That's going to be another 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times negative 2 is negative 32. So the answer is negative 2. All right, the next thing that we're going to cover is negative exponents. So if I have this 1 over 4 raised to the negative 2 power, in the first place we have to just realize that the sign on this exponent has absolutely nothing to do with the sign out in front. Okay, this is going to be a positive. It's not affected by the sign on that negative exponent. What that negative exponent means is that the number doesn't belong where it's at. The number has a negative exponent in the denominator, so in order for it to be a positive exponent, we're going to have to take it upstairs. So it'll become 4 to the positive 2. Okay, so 4 squared is 16. Okay, and the next one is 1 over negative 2 to the negative 4 power. Okay, this negative 4 tells me this guy doesn't belong there. He's got to go upstairs. So instead, it's going to be negative 2 to the positive 4 power. Now, notice that the sign on the exponent, this one, is the only one that changes when you move it up. This sign does not change when you move that up to give me a positive exponent. So this is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Okay, that's 4, and 4 times 4 is a positive 16. Okay, so there again, the sign out in front is not affected by the sign on the exponent. Now this next one is an even better example. Has a negative out in front, and then 1 over negative 3 in parentheses to the negative 2 power. So this negative here is going to stay. Just bring it down. This negative tells me I've got to take this upstairs. So this is going to be, minus 3 squared. So then this is negative. Get rid of that exponent. Minus 3 times minus 3. So now we have 1, 2, 3 negatives. So that's going to be negative 9. Okay. On the next page it says simplify. Oh, okay. Anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. It's not 0, it's 1. So then this one, no pun intended, this negative is not attached. So that negative has to stay there, and then 2 to the 0 is 1. Now this one is attached. So this whole thing is raised to the 0 power, which is just going to give us positive 1. Okay. Now, we've already covered this, but let's see what happens. We get x squared, y to the 5th, y to the negative 2, and x to the negative 2. So remember when we're multiplying, we add the exponents on the like variables. So we can add these exponents. So that's x to the 2 minus 2, which is x to the 0. And then y to the 5 minus 2 would be y to the 3rd. But remember, anything to the 0 power is just 1. So that's 1 times y cubed, which is just the same as y cubed. Okay, now let's look at letter C in the practice, because I don't remember them giving us one of these. If it's 5 to the negative 2 up here, it doesn't belong there. So we have to take this one down to get rid of the negative exponent. So that's going to be 1 over 5 to the 2nd, which is 1 over 25. Okay, wherever the exponent is negative, you have to take it where it's not. So if it's negative in the numerator, you take it down, it becomes a positive exponent. If it's negative in the denominator, you take it up and make the exponent positive. All right? It's got to go wherever it's not to change it to a positive exponent. And that exponent doesn't have anything to do with the sign that's out in front of the whole fraction. All right, so this is 106. That'll be due on Wednesday. All right.